The day, your day, bring us exactly 30 minutes after 7 o'clock right here on Oasis. If you just joined us, welcome to the second hour. My name is Kitty Petla, standing in for Nzako, and we're going to be going straight to our amazing theme, for Pride 2025, purely, queerly African. And, October is Pride Month in South Africa, and this year's theme is purely, queerly African. Couldn't be more powerful. 36 years after the first Pride March, and South Africa still stands as the only African country with constitutional protection for LGBTQIA plus rights. And we're going to be chatting to Kaye Ally and, driving Johannesburg Pride and advancing LGBTQIA plus rights across Africa. Johannesburg, South Africa, as Pride of South Africa Month opens this October, attention turns to Kaye Ally, the project professional and activist who has become one of the most influential figures in advancing LGBTQIA plus rights in South Africa and across the continent. And Ally, who leads the Pride of South Africa's foundation, has been central to reshaping Johannesburg Pride into a platform that combines visibility, advocacy, and community building. What began as a march has, under her direction, expanded into a month-long program that includes cultural events, community dialogue, and one of the largest LGBTQIA plus gatherings in Africa. Since 2017, when she formally launched Pride of Africa Month, Ally has focused on expanding the reach of the movement, and the foundation now supports regional events such as eThekwini Pride and Soweto Pride, while also developing programs on advocacy, education, and volunteer leadership as well. This year, the calendar once again blends entertainment and activism with structured hubs, live performances, and queer-owned businesses market integrated into the main march. And this year, our theme is purely, queerly African, and is a declaration of pride with who we are. We are Africans. And I think it's really, really incredible. And her approach has been marked by careful coordination and municipal partners, corporate sponsors, and civil society. She has built volunteer networks that sustain the event while fostering leadership within the LGBTQIA plus community. The result is an annual pride that draws thousands into Johannesburg streets, while also feeding into broader campaigns such as safety, visibility, and equal rights. Oh my gosh. Good morning, Kaye Ally. How are you?
Morning, very well, and you?
Good. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Wow, this is so important. I remember, I think I've been to a few times. Yeah, I've been there, and man, it was always such a vibe, and I can't believe how huge it is. Well, I can believe, because us South Africans, we're very resilient, and it's people like yourself that make such platforms so much. There's such a need for it, so thank you so much. It has grown so much, so thank you to you. Welcome to you. How you been?
Tired.
I can imagine. I can imagine. I mean, 36 years on why, it's been going on for 36 years now. Why has Pride still necessary in South Africa, and what does purely, queerly African say about where we are today?
So I think Pride was never meant to be a party. It was born out of protest for need to change. And it turned into a bit of a celebration of how far we had come in terms of our human rights, our recognized rights. But if we look at it, the reality of lived realities don't always match the promises that the Constitution protects us with. So you see the community still facing a lot of challenges, violence, discrimination, hate directed at us, as in the case in point of the last few weeks. And that continuously says to us that pride is relevant. When we looked at this year, and this was before anything happened, we spoke about how do we reclaim and celebrate queer African identities on our own terms. Because for far too long, African queer stories have been defined by pain or filtered through the Western narrative. So we decided this year we wanted to flip the script. We wanted to tell our stories. We wanted to add our cultural experiences to Pride, because at the end of the day, Johannesburg Pride as a march started in 1990. It's older than our democracy, and we haven't skipped a year. I've been instrumental in planning and leading Johannesburg Pride. This is my 14th Pride.
Oh, wow.
Before that, I was, as a sponsor, sat on different sides of the table. But I think it's the fact that the experiences are still horrific in some cases is why Pride still remains relevant.
Now, you did say, Johannesburg Pride did start as a protest, but now how has the march evolved in meaning, impact, and purpose over the years?
So I think it started as a defiance, an act of defiance, a protest march, um, undocumented or unsupported by the city back in 1990. And it was the first march in Africa, just by the way. But it's evolved into a movement. So now when we look at just not Johannesburg Pride as a march, but if you look at the Pride of Africa as an umbrella organization, it's a platform, and it carries the voices of the community, the struggles, the triumphs. So it's creating that balance of yes, we still need the visibility and awareness. Yes, we still have a lot that needs to be achieved. And there is daily struggles within our lived experiences. But at the same time, we have one of the most progressive constitutions in the world. South Africa acts as a role model to Africa. We have same-sex marriages that are recognized. So we try and bridge the gap in terms of how do we balance where we are as a pride organization. And I think the thing that we really do get right is we create the platform. We don't dictate the activism and advocacy that takes place on the day. So you get some community that are very entrenched in wanting to be vocal about pressing current matters that are impacting or directly impacting the community. And then you get others that would like to just come and enjoy themselves and celebrate in the rainbow colors, and the glitz and glamour of being themselves. And then that's fine because that's the combination that Pride actually brings together. And there's complexities within the community as well. We're
Of
dealing with
course.
uh, LGBTQ plus, so it's easier for us to look at planning and creating the platform rather than saying, this is how you're going to celebrate your activism. That we leave up to the community. And I think that is important because that then gives everyone the ability to make Pride their own.
Yeah, I mean it's a daily it's a growing community daily, because I mean there's so much great that has been happening, and I always say like the glass is half full, and it's been such a great struggle, but there still are struggles in different communities, but one step at a time, and I feel it's people like yourself that have made that possible. So Pride 2025 is positioned as an impact platform rather than just an event. What intentional changes rather, have you implemented to make that true?
Over the years, we have implemented a lot of changes, but I think the most important one is that, we remain a voice of the African continent. We're still very influential because South Africa is a role model for Africa. We're still very influential in the LGBTQ plus voice on the continent. And I think more than anything, if you look at the impact and the evolution, the meaning of pride has evolved from fighting to I exist, to celebrating the existence, to building that influence. So, as much as we've shifted from a march for acceptance, we've created a platform which is instrumental in change, um, in including our cultures and empowering the younger generation. So, when I look at Pride today, what started off as a statement for equal rights is now both a testament to our freedom, but also a test to society and how society treats us, um, and in terms of equality and humanity. So when I look at it, I think I see some of those changes, and then I also see there's a lot of work that still needs to be done.
Absolutely. You know, in two parts, I would like to ask you this, and it almost is gonna sound like you're regurgitating what you've said, but there, there's the negative and the positive, and when you speak about impact and evolution, what is still the major struggles to this day when it comes to the community?
Their right to dignity.
Mm.
Um, I think if we look at it, we still get told it's un-African to be gay. We're not part of
Man,
communities, traditions, cultures. I mean, look at the social
yes.
media uproar over same-sex couple that want to spend the rest of their lives together. So when you look at our lived realities, we need to claim our visibility. We need to claim our dignity. We need to carve a place for ourselves where we belong.
Yeah, it's so funny. I was listening to a conversation. Man, the internet can be so damaging sometimes. And, you are so, for me personally, I feel like, there's traditional wars in acceptance of the community, which for me, I feel we've still got a long road ahead. And it's funny that you said it's literally like you took the thought out of my mind and you just literally just put it into words. And I feel, in terms of those traditional wars, what is going to make the significant change?
I think with us exerting and imprinting um, our space in civil society,
Mm.
and us being unapologetically queer, um, and owning our authenticity does go a long way. So when I look at young queer Africans, for me, pride needs to say, we see you, you
Mm.
belong.
Mm.
You don't have to shrink yourself to survive.
Absolutely, because, like, for instance, when you get people of color having a traditional wedding, same-sex weddings, you tend to wear traditional clothes in pride of where you come from. And, there's almost that war, that juxtaposed war as to, is it going to be accepted traditionally? So you're quite right. We've got such a long way to go. But having said that, what has been the light at the end of the tunnel within those struggles? Because, the laws do protect the community as well. But furthermore, what do you feel that where was the light at the end of the tunnel after all these struggles?
Look, I think the fact that we still can exercise our rights, the civil union ceremonies can still take place. The same-sex marriages are recognized. We are one of um, we're the oldest pride on the African continent.
Mm.
So, number one, we're older than our democracy. Number two,
That's
the
amazing.
fact that we now have an executive mayor in the city of Johannesburg that is so supportive, that is so helpful. He is actually assigned someone to ask us if we are being helped by the city. It's the first time in the 14 years that I've done Pride, and it's the first time in the history of the 36 years that Pride exists and has been an instrumental part of the annual calendar in Johannesburg, that an executive mayor has been this caring and showed this much of concern towards the Pride movement. Number one, towards trying to help us with as much as he can from a city perspective, um, and to make sure that he understands we're an unfunded organization. He understands that Pride is a no barrier to entry, non-ticketed event. So, for me, that was a very big shift in terms of ownership, because now we have us going purely queerly African, which is a sense of cultural ownership, where we
Yes.
want to create Pride in a space that is more African expressive. It is allowing us to express our traditions, art, music, stories, um, within our queer culture. And it's our democratic right, our constitutional right, to be able to bridge the gap as queer individuals that come with African heritage. I mean, I come from a mixed race background. So when I look at myself, I only understand the South African culture. Um, but I mean, that is important for us to then be able to self-express. And then when we look at
Unapologetically
it
so.
from Exactly, exactly. And then when we look at it from a partnership perspective, and I look at the accountability that has been taken by the executive mayor himself, um, in terms of him wanting to see us grow, him wanting to see us feel safe in the city as residents
Mm.
of Johannesburg.
Mm.
I mean, the conversation I had with Mayor Dada Morero is the first time I've had this type of an interaction with someone in office. I mean, previously we wouldn't even get an appointment with an executive mayor
Oh,
because
wow.
it wasn't on their agenda. So for many years that I've been instrumental in Pride, and we've almost been shunned to the side. And between last year and this year, I've seen an active change in how we are being treated by the city of Joburg, and
Mm.
it's officially being led by the first resident himself.
I think these are moments where you can say, we truly love our country because, man, there's such a beautiful pivot that is happening, So for me, that is music to my ears. Pride 2025 catering, authentic African voices and stories. Well, I just wanted to know what key structural shifts such as safety, inclusivity, sustainability, and partnership, accountability are shaping this year's Pride.
So sustainability, for the last 14 years, of 2013, 2014, I was very instrumental in changing the march. So we don't allow any motorized vehicles, which means that we are green conscious.
Oh.
So that's sustainability for us. But in addition to that, over time, we've evolved to include the United Nations Social Development Goals, so leave no one behind, policies of equality, justice for all. And then when we look at safety, we've worked very closely with the City of Joburg, JMPD, SAPS, all the disaster management, fire, joint operation committee from a city perspective to make sure that we execute a completely, City of Joburg compliant event, and that all the authorities combined are very aware of what we're doing, how we're doing it, where we're doing it, and that each division has had the opportunity to plan their operational plans to ensure that they can accommodate Pride on the 25th of October,
Mm.
and they can mitigate any risks if there's any that might, you know, come across. And I think in terms of partnerships, we work with a number of corporate companies, and some call us a capitalism pride. But the reality is that when you're not funded by government, you're not getting international donors. And Pride is still a free event for anyone that needs to attend. Then, hats off to the corporates that do come on board, that have been coming on board and repeatedly showing support to the community, because that enables us to make sure that Pride remains a no barrier to entry event, and gives everyone the opportunity that needs to come, feel part of the community, feel as if they have a place to belong to them that is safe, where they can be their authentic selves. Then I think, those partnerships have really come a long way in terms of allowing us to add value to the lives of the community. So, after many years of interacting with a lot of the corporates, I can safely say that it's not capitalism, it's support. It's not big budgets. It is them saying to us that we are not just a tick box, because we keep showing up. And we will keep showing up, because that's our commitment to the community. It's also the commitment to us and our staff that come from the LGBTQ plus community, that we work with on a daily basis. So there's those partnerships. And then in terms of ownership, I always say it's LGBTQ plus me. So me is actually how I choose to self-identify.
It's inclusive. It's inclusive in every
Exactly.
way possible.
Exactly.
It's the community, but it's our community. It's all of our community, It's the entire human race. So yeah, plus me. That is very, very beautiful. Oh my gosh. You guys are fancy. I remember the last one I went to was back when you guys used to do it at the Zoo Lake. Right, and there were some amazing performances. It was really such a blast. But as you guys marched through Sandton, led by the mayor, what message are we sending to the country, and what is your call to action for allies, government, and the community? Just to wrap it up.
So I want to say, yes, we have become a little bit more fancy. We're going to have 3 stages this year. And, we...
Okay, I told you guys are very fancy now. Okay, are you still there? We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to just catch up with Kaye again. Oh, man, we were just getting to the juicy part, but we'll be back in just a moment. It's exactly 7:36.
6 till 9 a.m. Central African Time on Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Understand. No tenda nagangaka. Ikaleluma wayo. Taba fotunga understand. Yo jabula mangfila. Atushe mbuya pila. Kule ngozi zomkwaqo mntana minya jabula ufika usaphi. Beki kwamake msana. Landi impepho kakhokhe erondweni. Phahle ngikhulume nabadala. Batshela usemagcekeni. Vuliyane emakhaya. Sasiphelile amakhasi mabuye khona icela ungiphathele ihitha ngokungempela uzongcwaba yasuma afuna amahlala ngeke ushone ngisakuthanda kuyoba yisibusiso kimi ukuthi ube khona mawami mangishada ngoba uyokwazi ukungibonisa maseze ngibuyeka temshadwe ngoba uyokwazi tukungituduza maseze ngibuyeka temshadwe tangisakhona khumbula uma tangisakhona khumbula uma sebethi ndoda endala kangaka ikhalela uma wayo thaba futhi unganunderstand ndoda endala kangaka ikhalela uma wayo thaba futhi unganunderstand ngithanda ngekhaya